What's up, y'all? Peace. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I said 10 minutes. Did I take more than 10 minutes? If so, that's my bad. I be kind of doing these lives impromptu and not notifying people when I'm live. So let me do that. And thank you so much, Nicole, because Joseph, I promise you I'm not in the mood for right now. What's up, y'all? I'm live on YouTube right now. I just went live, and today's subject is going to be The Gods Are at War. I'm going to be talking about the situation in Minnesota and ICE, as well as analog versus digital, as well as lab-grown meat, as well as the weather anomalies, cough, cough, and several other things that are on my radar. So I will post the link for you guys to join me live on YouTube right now. And I hope to see you soon. What's up, y'all? I'm live on YouTube right now. I just went live, and today's subject is going to... Give me 1 second, you guys. This is all the stuff that happens in the background that y'all never see. Well, you guys probably see because I'm always doing this on the fly. Let me just post this link real quick, and then we will get started. What's up, y'all? I'm live on YouTube right now. I just went live, and today's subject is going to be The Gods Are at War. I'm going to be talking situation in Minnesota and ICE, as well as analog versus digital, as well as lab-grown meat, as well as the weather anomalies, cough, cough, and several other things that are on my radar. So I will post the link for you guys to join me live on YouTube right now. And I hope to see you soon. What's up, y'all? I'm live on YouTube right now. Give me 1 second, family. I'm just notifying everybody. Okay, link. I'm live. Come through. All right, cool. So there we go. So I have some video clips that I'm going to be sharing. I also pulled some books, a few resources that there's some things within these books that are relative to what we're going to be talking about today. So hopefully if I get a chance to draw from these, I will. The Kabbalion, which you can't even see the cover. That's how much I read this book. I don't read this book. I study this book. The Hidden Messages of Water in Water, and then The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. And these are all books that I have covered with you guys plenty of times before. But in terms of this particular subject that we're going to be talking about today, The Gods Are at War, it is absolutely 1000% relevant and relative to the subject matter. And so I'm just kind of, I'm not going to say I'm going to be all over the place, but I might be all over the place. But if I do, it's all good because I know that my tribe and my family is here to hold me down. And because I am very conscientious of the significance of these times that we're living in, I just needed to come and talk to you guys and chop it up, as well as I have a few announcements and some things that I have going on. But before we get into all of that, let me, and I Show Speed is something that I'm going to talk about. It's actually on my list as well, because I saw a video of someone talking about him being the most dangerous Black man in America, in the world. Just like when I saw the videos of people talking about Ibrahim Traore being the most dangerous Black man in the world. Like, we got to stop that. The savior complex shit is just too much. The language is critical. And obviously there's more I want to say to that, because I'm very thankful and grateful of the light that he has shined on Africa in multiple ways. But there is no one most dangerous Black man or Black woman or Black anything in the world. The way that we sort of catapult people into these spaces with these titles and with this language, it just really bothers my spirit. Because, you know, the most dangerous Black man in the world is a man who is sovereign-minded. That's who the most dangerous Black man in the world is. So if you are sovereign-minded and you are governing yourself, then yeah, you would fit under that category, but it's not one man. And so I'm going to show this video of this sister who was talking about this, and it just like brought me back to the point that I made before about Ibrahim, as well as some other things. So we'll get into that. But before we do, let me tap in with the chat room. How y'all doing? Joseph referred to me as pumpkin, and I'm going to need you to walk that back, or, you know, or not. But I'm just saying, don't refer to me like that. I'm not in that type of mood today. So please acknowledge me as ZaZa. Queen works, goddess works, but, or you can just, you know what I mean, address me without using a title or a name. But don't address me just like when men all the time send me messages and call me baby or sweetheart. I'm not your baby or your sweetheart or your pumpkin. So let's just make sure that we are keeping things in proper context, because I'm not going to refer to a brother who is a stranger to me, because you don't know me. You know, I might not be a stranger. You know of me and you know what I represent of myself in these social media streets, but you don't actually know me. So you do not have permission to address me in that way. So you can address me in a respectful manner, or you can just talk without having to address me by title or name at all. And you're still welcome to be here as long as you have maintained that certain level of respect and all of the things, and it's all good. What's up, Slugger? Peace, Nicole. How you doing, Queen? Yes, I am doing well. KG Gresham. Peace and love, Amina. How you doing, Queen? AKA Captain. What's good? How you doing? So Sayate, I'm not even going to allow you to work my nerves tonight. If you got something to say, you can shoot me a cash app and then we can discuss it accordingly. You know the rules. There's a special set of rules for you. So you know how it, you understand how this program goes. Ola Sumbo, 888, peace and love. What's good? How you doing? Anunak, that's a dope handle. Peace and love. Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Relly Rel, thank you so much for becoming a new member. And yeah, respect the truth. Let me see. Yeah, and these celebrities are getting passports. Yeah, and the whole idea of the influencers are the new celebrities now. And I want to write that down because that's a point that I want to make. Doesn't seem funny how folks and celebrities are now getting their passports. Give me that a little more context on that, because as far as, I mean, getting passports isn't anything new. That's, you know, celebrities have been traveling the world and you know, jet setting since forever. So I don't think the getting passports are anything new. I think it's just our access in terms of the social media element and how much attention it's getting for these people and how they're sort of navigating the world. And now you have a social media influencer who people are calling the most dangerous Black man in the world. Like, stop it. Please stop it. So yeah, shout out to you guys in the chat room. I let everybody know, y'all see my hair is growing out and it's a process, and the sisters know I am, you know, trying to work with it, but I'm going to get my hair braided again tomorrow, because I cannot deal with this phase of my hair where it's not long or short. It's just kind of like, you know, one day it'll be cute. Then the next day it's like, what the hell is going on? If I picked it out, my afro would be insane right now. But I put some water and a little bit of juices and berries in it earlier today to let my curls shine through. But yeah, these are natural curls. You know, thank the Most High for blessing me with a good set of follicles to where I can just wash it and go. But yeah, I'm in that middle hair phase where it's like I can't really do anything with it. And so yeah, shout out to the hair gods for blessing me with my hair growing, all my curls snap back. Ladies, you've probably been through this before. I don't know if you've ever put too much heat on your hair and it stripped your curls. Well, I did that. Well, the person who did my hair did that for the first time. What was it about? I think it was sometime last year. I might have told y'all about it. And it was such a devastating experience for me, because I have always, like, my curls have always been my ride or die backup. No matter, you know, if I can't get my hair done, I can always revert to my curls, whether I'm short, whether it's long. And so with my hair, it stripped my hair and I didn't have my curls. And that was like the most strangest, devastating experience to me. And so it made me have a different level of, you know, you don't really appreciate something until it's gone. And so it made me have a different level of respect for my hair. So this time around, when I'm regrowing it, I'm keeping braids in it, like I said, because I want it to grow faster. But I'm also really conscientiously taking care of my hair this time around because I have such a good relationship with my hair. I've taken it for granted over the years. Like, yeah, I'll cut it, it'll grow right back. It's nothing. But yeah, having my curls stripped really kind of, it felt like, you know, if your hair is like your antennas to the most high, it's like my antennas like limp. You know, no disrespect to the brothers who are dealing with limp issues. I'm just saying. Sorry, I couldn't resist it. So yeah, the hair growth process is a thing, but tomorrow I'm going to get a fresh set of braids. And so if you would like to contribute to the ZaZaAli braid funding campaign, you, Societe in particular, since you always have so much to say, shoot me a Cash App and help me to make that process happen, because those braids are going to last me for about 45 days. So yeah, this should be a group, you know what I mean, project where we all kind of pitch in to help with, to assist with this. But I told you guys the stuff we're going to be talking about. There's a blackout schedule for tomorrow. Are you guys participating in that? How you feeling about that? Lab grown meat, digital versus analog. The influencers being the new celebrity and talking about, is it I Show Speed, I think. The weather. I mean, it's so fascinating to me now that I have people from all over the world sending me information to validate the things that I've been talking about for 15 years. So I appreciate it. But for me, the writing is on the wall. I don't mean to sound arrogant about that, but it's kind of, you know, it's one of those things where you've been screaming something in the wind for so long and people aren't paying attention. And then finally, when people are paying attention and they want you to, you know, they want your input, your perspective, your, you know, do you think this is true? Do you think this is not? Like, yeah, I wrote a book on it. Tap in. Black Matters Volume 1. You know, if you want to know what I think, just purchase the book. It's available on Amazon and on my website as well. If you've tried to reach me via my website, ZaZaAli.com is down. I am revamping and changing the, I don't even know what word. I'm changing the current, I can't find the word. The current program that I'm on, that's not the word, but for lack of a better word, the current setup I have with my website, I'm changing it because I sat back at the end of December and really assessed how much money I was spending on my business, my month-to-month business goals or business expenses, and, you know, output versus input, right? Because it's not cheap to run you know, to have a website that has a membership program and that has all of the different bells and whistles that my site has. It's very expensive. And then Kajabi went up by $70 per month on my website. StreamYard went up on the monthly streams. Kajabi went up $70. StreamYard went up from 25 to 44. So that's what, $19. GoDaddy went up on my store. G Suite went up on my email. So we're talking about, and mind you, all of these companies have been over the last year been, you know, emphasizing we're improving the quality of our services, the quality of your website, the quality of all of the things with AI, right? So AI is going to help you do this. AI is going to help you do that. Well, why are all of my fees going up substantially? So when I sat back, and this is critical for anybody that is self-employed, to like do an audit. And I did an audit at the end of the year and like broke down the cost of what I was paying for all of these different sites versus the income that I was actually making. And not, I'm talking about inconsistent income, right? Because my website is bringing in a certain amount of, you know, through subscriptions, through memberships, people that purchase certain workshops and whatnot. So I have, you know, there's passive income, and then there's the income that you got to work consistently. So my membership channel, some of my content is consistent new content, but then I also have 400, probably almost 500 videos and workshops and things that you have access to. That's passive income as well. So when I sat back and did the audit on my website and my output versus my income, yeah, the math was not mathing. And so from Kajabi to G Suite to GoDaddy to StreamYard, and there's like 4 other companies that I use on a consistent basis, I'm getting robbed. And yeah, there's other, ways there's other sites you can set up. There's all this, but all of that takes time. And I know somebody's gonna be like, you should try this and you should check out this and you should go to this site and you should do, I feel you, but it all takes time, and time is money, right? So I say all of that. Why did I start talking about that? To let you guys know about my website, if you go to ZaZaAli.com, but my store is still active, and I put the link for that in the description. Ancient People, the sale is over, so my paperback book is back to its regular price of $111. The sale is over for the hardcover version of Ancient People, which is this book. I had it on sale for $99. I put it back up to the regular price, and then before I started this video, I dropped it down to $122. That's the sale price right now because Black History Month is upon us, and so it's just the right thing to do. So we have that. We have the books. Remember the Climbing the Ladder of Yourself, which I was doing specifically for women, right? And so I launched that in terms of it being ladies only. But I've been sitting back and watching the climate and watching the collective consciousness and seeing how everybody is consistently being swayed, the ping pong consciousness. And so now the collective consciousness, Black people in particular, men, women, etc., we're in another ping pong phase now where we are so enraptured in this ice, in this Minnesota and all the stuff that's happening, which don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we shouldn't be paying attention to this stuff, but I am saying that the way that how easy it is for these people to sway the minds of the masses is scary to me. And it's scary to me because ever since 2020, really before 2020, but like 2020 really became a staple where I realized how dangerous the average man or woman or person in our midst, whether it's our family members, whether it's our friends, whether it's your random social media influencer, I realized how dangerous these people are. Dangerous to themselves, dangerous to their communities, dangerous to the culture, dangerous to the collective consciousness. And so I've been very adamant and sincere with you guys that my focus right now is to reach the 5% of the 5%, to keep those of us who are operating in a certain bandwidth of consciousness, to keep us intact, to keep us confident, to keep us focused on the bigger picture, to keep us aspiring to our dreams and our goals and our aspirations, and to not get caught up in the constant swaying of consciousness, because I'm not doing that. And for me, anytime I see the mainstream going in one particular direction, that's an automatic pause for me. I'm automatically stopping and paying attention to what's really going on, right? And so the Climbing the Ladder of Yourself, which I originally announced was going to be for women only, a 90-day program. And shout out to those sisters who signed up for that. And I took my website down, which means that I stopped that particular part of my membership channel. I'm going to open that up for men and women. And it's not going to be a 90-day workshop where you have access to the course and you just do it on your own time. We're going to meet once a month for the next 4 months. So 120 days. We're going to meet once a month, and I'm going to build this around, in terms of my part of it, climbing the ladder of yourself, all the things that I've been talking about in terms of what that entails. But it's going to be a collective meeting of the minds where I do my part and then we come together and talk about your goals, dreams, aspirations, where you're stuck, what you're striving for. If you're afraid right now, if you're lost and trying to figure it out, I'm going to open this up for men and women. And I don't think I've done any actual workshops or courses that were, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I don't know. I need to think that through. I've done so many. But yeah, I want to open this up for men and women. So the first 5 spots, and we already have five women that are signed up. So you guys are already in for the first portion of the course, but this is going to be a monthly fee because I'm going to be live constructing and holding these workshops. For the first 5 people who sign up, I'm going to do a $45 flat fee. And then the monthly fee is going to be $55. So If you want to come and be in a cohesive environment where, you know, I'm going to be doing my thing and talking to you guys and building with you guys, but also a space where you can be seen and heard and actually talk about the things that are going on in the world, how they're affecting you, how they're impacting you, all of the things. The link for that is in the description. The first 5 spots will be $45 and all of the other spots will be $55 per month. And the link is in the description to sign up for that $45 special. And our first meeting is going to be Saturday, February 7th, which is 1 week from now at 12 p.m. I'll send you guys the link. We'll connect live and we'll go from there. And some of it is going to be structured in terms of me sort of giving you guys my course that I created around climbing the ladder of yourself, right? And that's not based on what's going on in the world. That's already a course that's been created about climbing the ladder of yourself and getting beyond any place that you're stuck or going to the next level of yourself. And then it's also going to be an open forum where we can all talk and be seen and be heard. And this is going to be a male and female situation. So I have 5 spots at $45. If you click that link and it's expired, that means that those are no longer available. And then I'm going to go back into the site, into the description of this website and add the link for the $55. I'll replace the $45 link with the $55 link. That's a once a month payment for the next 4 months. And I'm just doing my part and trying to, you know, I feel like $45 is like 7 lattes a month, right? I'm trying to do my part to help us to keep it together because the world is unraveling and the circus is increasing and the noise and the insanity and the chaos is increasing. And y'all know I don't like to project into the future anything that I don't want to manifest, but the writing is on the wall. The craziness is only going to increase. The insanity is only going to increase. So you can invest in that, and you can do that tonight, and you can do that right now. And then also for the next 24 hours, I'm reading my notes, so pardon me if I'm a little all over the place. So I said 125 days, 120 days, that's 4 months. For the next 24 hours, I had 2 consultations today, 2 very powerful consultations. Both of them are probably listening right now. Hold on, let me just slow this situation in the chat room down. I didn't mean to do that. Don't try to, if you're spamming my, I don't even know if this is a good or a bad thing, but if you're spamming my chat with whatever that was, I'm just going to ban you from being in the chat room because I don't have time today. I'm just not in the mood. I have 2 spots available for a one-on-one consultation, $75, that's $50 off of my normal rate. And then I have 1 spot available for a $300 5 consultations, which is basically $60 per consultation. So if you're one of those people who needs some assistance and some guidance, a sounding board, maybe you're struggling through something, maybe you're trying to work through something, whatever it is, I can assist you in that capacity. But I'm only taking payments for that for Cash App. And I said before that when I did an audit of all of my business fees, I also realized how much money I'm paying out to Kajabi, to Stripe, to GoDaddy. Every time you make a purchase on my website or through my store, I'm getting hammered in fees. And it's a lot. So Cash App, I don't have to pay any fees. That money comes directly to me. And then I can use that money to do all the things that I need to do. So 2 $75 consultations. If you want to sign up for that, you have 24 hours. It is Thursday, January 29th. Friday, January 30th, that's going to expire. So if I have 2 people sign up, cool. If I have 4 people sign up, I'm going to accept you signing up between now and then. But after Friday at 8:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that offer ends. So you don't need to send me anything via Cash App because the sale has already run its course. Again, $75 for a 1-hour consultation or $300 for 5 consultations, which is basically $60 per consultation. And I think that's all of the things that I had to announce. And if you sign up for the Climbing the Ladder of Yourself monthly workshops, you'll get a free copy of my ebook of Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance, because we will be working out of that workbook together. So yeah, I'm going to be repeating this as I talk, just because, you know, that's what I should be doing. I should be looking out for myself, right? I'll be repeating that through this conversation, so just be mindful of that with me. I know people, it's funny how I get comments and feedback where people are frustrated sometimes with me promoting my business, which is fascinating. But shout out to you guys that have been here with me since I started this live. We're going on, what is that, 35 minutes now. We started right around the 15-minute mark. So if somebody could, when you watch this video and replay it, put in the comments that we started right around the 18-minute mark, and then I'll pin that at the top of the video so that people who are chiming in can just fast forward. I'll end up trimming it out, but it takes like 24 to 48 hours for that trim to go through. So I want people who tune in to just be able to come in and start right where we started. Saturday, February 7th, I'm going to be at Baba's Vegan Cafe in Los Angeles. This is a free event that I do for the community. And I missed January because I had a lot of stuff going on. I moved into my new place and I really just needed to stop and pause. But Friday, February 7th, doors open at 4 o'clock at Baba's Vegan Cafe. And I'm going to be posting the flyer for that on my website or on my social media pages tomorrow. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, come rock with me on Saturday, February 7th. I'm probably going to gear that conversation towards Black History Month. I'm also taking interview requests for Black History Month because, you know, I have a textbook to promote and because it's what I love. History is what I love. So yeah, if you're interested in interviewing me, you can tap in with me. And if you've already sent me an interview request, Sinetter, I love you, King. And I'm going to, wait, did I just say I love you, King? Yeah, that's my brother. We have had our issues, but I said your name and I referenced you because I am going to hit you back so we can do that interview because he's been reaching out to me and asking me to do the interview. I have for a long time now, and I just meant to hit him back up. I have an interview next Wednesday with KBLA. So I'll post the information so you guys can watch that live on KBLA. And a couple of other things that are in the works, and I'll keep you guys posted. I'm speaking at a couple of high schools for Black History Month. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all of that. And yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat room. As I referenced before, I told you guys some of the things I'm going to be talking about. And then I have 3 of my favorite books, The Kabbalion, which is missing the cover because I've read it and studied it backwards and forwards. The Hidden Messages in Water, and then The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. And none of these books are new to my audience. You guys know I reference them all the time. But in terms of the subject that we're talking about today, the gods are at war, there is specific things that I want to draw from and pull from these books so we can start looking at the bigger picture and not get caught up in the ping pong consciousness, which is where I see so many people operating right now. And again, I'm on the outside looking in, and it's a little, you know, perplexing to me that a lot of us have not really learned, you know, from 2020. I saw this video today, and I should have saved the video, and I didn't. But where this guy, he was passionate and he was fiery. I wish I had saved it. I didn't. Societe sent me a Cash App and said, your hair looks lovely, Delilah. So this is what he does, right? I'm in a mood tonight, y'all, so I'm with the shit. And if you want to come on live with me, you can do so. If you want to ask me specific questions, you can contribute to the Brave funding campaign of ZaZaAli and shoot me a Cash App, and I will read your question live and address it live. This is probably going to be an hour and a half, 2 hour maybe type live. So, you know, make sure you guys reciprocate and pour into your girl. And buy my books, which is my #1 request, because that's real, true reciprocity. But it's reciprocity anyway, because I'm pouring into you guys. So yeah, Societe likes to try to provoke me, you know, with the Delilah frequency, because I am a physically attractive woman. But the irony of trying to relate me to a Delilah type of frequency when I have been celibate for 5 years now is absolutely fascinating. I mean, my discipline and willpower is so top tier for you to even try to imply and put me in that vein. It's funny to me. So I would love for you to come. Actually, if you send me an email, I'll send you the link where you can come and talk to me live and we can have a public conversation in front of the world. And then we'll see what you have to say then. And anybody else that wants to challenge me on anything that I'm going to say, or it doesn't even have to be a challenging thing. Maybe you want to join me live and be a part of this conversation live. Shoot me a Cash App, donate to the Brave funding campaign of ZaZaAli, and let's talk about it. So I want to go ahead and get started. Before I do that, let me just tap in with you guys in the chat room and see what's going on. I appreciate you. Much love for the super chat. Shout out to all of my new members. We just had one member sign up, and I think I acknowledged you, didn't I? Mr. Relly Rel, much love. I appreciate you. And I see your question, respect the truth. I'm going to answer that because you did ask me before I made that announcement. But I am going to specifically be honing in on questions from people that show love and donate to the Brave Funding Campaign, because that's the vibration of the night. Nelton, much love, King. I hope you got the notification that your order has shipped. And thank you so much for your ongoing patience and for always supporting me. This is my brother who's been with me for a very long time, but he has been ordering keys to womanhood specifically and like giving them out to all of the women in his life and the women in his family and whatnot, which just means so much to me. You know, the book is not super expensive, and I intentionally created that workbook for our daughters and for our women and all of the things that I wish my mother and a woman had told me. So I can't tell you how much I value you and appreciate you, and for your patience with me, because you know I'll be having a lot going on. Have you noticed Ludacris, Sierra, and other folks are now getting their citizenship? I have, and thank you for bringing that up. That is a very important point. Thank you for bringing that up, because, you know, when I first noticed it was when the brothers from Earn Your Leisure, and I don't want no smoke, so y'all, you know, sometimes you call out a person that people respect and they go into WWF mode or WWE mode, you know, feel like I'm attacking their heroes. It's not about that. I have a great deal of admiration and respect for those brothers. But when I saw them at the World Economic Forum a couple of years ago, and they were being brought in under the guise of, and I'm going to say this tongue in cheek because I was only, you know, I'm on the outside looking in, so I don't have all the details, and I could be, you know, missing some details. But anytime you show up at the World Economic Forum, that means you're getting a different level of support, right? And you're tapped in with them people that work for Satan. So maybe they just went and there was never anything else that came from that. And it was just like, yeah, we just went to check it out, you know, washed our hands, nothing else from it. But the irony is that, you know, maybe a year and a half later, now they're on this world tour of Africa, to your point. And then Sierra, which we know she works for Satan because she was pushing that Jim Jones juice, they had her do a press conference at the White House, okay? And was, you know, adamant about pushing that. And so Ludacris is a little bit different because his wife is from Gabon, I think. And so they're dual citizens. And so Ludacris, I kind of feel a little bit different because his wife is active there. I follow her. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I do follow her. And I see that she is consistently going back home and active in her culture there. And so Ludacris, to me, that, you know, that has a different kind of element to it because she's from there, and your man and your husband should be supporting your homeland, and especially in Africa. That's why, you know, when I talk about the passport bros and, like, you know, promoting going to the Dominican Republic and Colombia and all of these places in the world where things are so wonderful. Well, that's beautiful. I just don't ever hear about you guys going back and pouring into those communities. There's something missing. You know, so that's a great point, and I'll get more into that when I talk about I Show Speed. Peace, Carbon. I'll say Garvin. Peace, Carbon Dragonfly. What's good? How you doing? I still have my book. Much love. When were these folks ever interested in Africa? Come on, let's be real. Everything is a trend I'm noticing, but I'm happy for the young man. I am too. I just know there is a bigger picture here. And there's something else that's going on. And as I've continued, I've been, you know, we're in a spiritual war. We're in a full-fledged, full throttle spiritual war. And so, you know, the economic resolve and sort of movement and momentum in Africa is a beautiful thing. I love it. I'm here for it. Y'all know Africa is a very big portion of my textbook. I'm a student of African history and African culture. So the Pharaoh Hatshepsut chapter, the Kandakis of Ethiopia and Kush, is all about Africa, African presence in Asia, which I titled it after to honor Runoko Rashidi because his book was very foundational and fundamental in my research. Do I think that the original Japanese and Chinese people were actually from Africa? No, I don't. I think some of them were, but I think just like those of us who are in America, some of us came here from Africa on our own accord voluntarily and through the slave, transatlantic slave trade, but then some of us were already here, right? So the Moors in Spain, which is very relative and relevant to Africa and African history and African culture. But in terms of the spiritual war, there is no one in the world that is more prepared and scripture-wise, in terms of trial and error, in terms of what we've been through, in terms of impact, than Black people in America. This is a fact. So, I think Africa is going to play a very significant role in terms of economic revitalization and sort of us taking back control of the natural resources there, not just for Africans, but for the whole entire world, people from Africa, but for the whole entire world. But in terms of the guidance that is necessary for the time that we are living in right now, it is absolutely 1000% going to be us. Hence the reason for this conversation right now. And all of my conversations, to be honest. Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate you. Much love. And Pinky and the Brain is a fact. Very, very perfect and brilliant, analysis, Pinky and the Brain. Let me see, didn't I just block you? Maybe okay, let me just make sure. Y'all hold me down in the chat room because, sometimes when I start going in, I zone out and then I'm not really paying attention to the chat room. So pardon me if I miss anything. Chris, what's good, family? Thank you so much for tuning in with us. I appreciate you. You're talking about ping pong consciousness as a Black man. I'm catching hell out here. I'm glad Trump and ICE is going hard on these illegal immigrants. I mean, that's your personal perspective. I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad. What the hell are we talking about tonight? Come on. What does that even mean? Whatever I'm talking about, I'm talking. This is my platform. If I want to talk about bubble gum being stuck on the bottom of my shoe, then that's what we're talking about. So welcome to the ZaZaAli show. You can take off your shoes and relax and be a part of a righteous conversation or not. Systematic Hispanic takeover has ran over 100,000 people out of Los Angeles. Okay. We rolling in the same. I'm 7 years, ain't playing a game. Yeah, you're talking about celibacy, I'm assuming. They're getting citizenship from the African empires who sold other Africans. Yeah, all of that is relative. Buy precious metals, I feel you on that. Out of Africa theory, the graftation of the Euro-Asian. The Euro-Asian is genetically linked to African primate, Adam and Eve, Charles Darwinism. Yeah, Darwinism is selective, or the evolutionary theory and natural selection. That's how they've been using science and using anthropology and using history to steer us in a certain direction, right? And so in the same way I say whatever direction the masses are going in, I'm looking the other way. To me, there was always something to that in terms of why is the white man campaigning this Lucy theory? Why are they steering us in this direction, right? So that was kind of raised my antennas when I was in college. And then I started challenging my anthropology teachers and because I took anthropology 1 and anthropology 2. And I was challenging them about this whole idea that we evolved from monkeys because nobody is really connected to, genetically connected to what we call the Neanderthal, besides Europeans. So there's that. But let me get back on what I want to talk about. And let me just pull up my first video. I just pulled a bunch of videos, not a bunch, maybe like 5 or 6 videos off of Instagram, just some things that I wanted to share with you guys. So we're going to talk first about this ICE situation and show some videos on some different perspectives about that. And then as I go through the videos, I'll be giving you guys my context and my commentary about it. So here we go.
Federal building in Minneapolis where ICE is being stationed. People are being abducted, detained, and sent out of here, subverting due process, judicial process. They've sent in the National Guard. The National Guard is basically running cover for ICE and also playing both sides, pacifying people with donuts and coffee. Man, Minneapolis brought out 100,000 people for a general strike on Friday, and the only tool we really have to fight back against ICE terror is to expand and extend that general strike to a nationwide general strike. This Friday, no work, cut it all off.
So are you guys participating in this strike or in this boycott? Right, exactly. If we evolve from monkeys, why is there still monkeys? Well, not just that. Why aren't monkeys still evolving? We should still be seeing that happening live in real time in modern society. So, you know, Vic Mensa, I love Vic Mensa. I think he's a dope brother. You know, he's standing on what he believes in. I respect that. And, you know, I'm beyond the point of like marching and protesting, but I understand the point of that. I understand the necessity of it in this timeline. And especially when you see the level of sort of wicked, savage behavior that is happening on behalf of these people, quote unquote, ICE. I think it's necessary on a certain level. And for people who are in that sort of bandwidth of consciousness and focus in that direction, I'm here for it. I would never persuade people to not stand up for the rights of others. That's what I'm doing in this video, like standing up for the rights of others, right? Let me bring this comment down real quick. But yeah, are you guys participating in a general strike? Are you not going to work? Are you, you know, how are you feeling about this? For me, again, I respect the purpose. I respect the intention behind it. I just know that boycotting is not building. And so, you know, I'm here for the boycotting. I understand the historical context. I understand that, you know, it's better to do something than nothing. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of people online mad, just like when it was Palestine. People are mad because people aren't talking about it. And, oh, this was the point I was making. This white dude, he was making really good points. I mean, what are we doing, humanity? Like, really, what are we doing? Not verbatim what he's saying, but this is basically the gist. He's like, you know, what are we doing? He's like, I'm not talking about your 5-year goals or your plans or, you know, what you're working on for yourself personally. I'm talking about as a human species with the things that are happening in our world, in our reality. What are we actually doing? And he was fired up and passionate and all of the things. And I was like, yeah, I feel you. I wish we had seen the same sort of momentum in 2020. Because that is really, 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 really when we needed all hands on deck. And I also watched another video from a doctor who used to work for Pfizer. And this guy really used to work for the company. He was being interviewed. And the number of deaths that he said are related to the Jim Jones juice, he says 17 million. I actually think the number is higher than that, but let's just take a moment and consider 17 million. Now, when we put that in context with what's going on with ICE and with what's going on in Minnesota, you know what I mean? So the spiritual warfare aspect, because what it is that they're keeping people focused in particular directions, right? The collective visionary said, I intend to shopping mom and pop shops only tomorrow. I think that's beautiful. I think we should be doing that consistently anyway. I think that needs to be a way of life. I think that these people print money. You know, we always say, oh, we got to hit them in the pockets. You know, yeah, to a certain extent, but then there has to be more than just that. You know, follow the money. We always say that, but they print money like it's nothing. So yes, it's money, but it's also like actively coming together and creating consistent, cohesive, you know, formulas and projects and building and networks and things that are sustainable and not just for one day. Because what'll happen, like you think about Black Friday, right? So whatever the momentum is from a day like today, and then you come in on Black Friday and all the money that gets spent and that gets pumped. Valentine's Day is coming up, right? The Grammys about to be here in LA. the NBA All-Star game, the Super Bowl. How many people are willing to not watch the Super Bowl? That would impress me. What if all Americans, you're talking about you want to hit them in their pockets, what if all Americans just turned off the TVs and didn't watch it at all? That would impress me. And I'm not saying that, hundreds of thousands or millions of people coming together for a general strike on Friday isn't impressive, because it is. It's very difficult. I've ran 3 different organizations: Cooperative Economics Support Our Schools, Cooperative Economics Support Black Business, and the Sister Cipher Support Group, where we came together and put money into Black businesses, Black schools. It is very difficult to get a large number of people to come together and be unified and consistently focusing on something, right? So I respect the agenda, I respect the strategy, I respect the intention. How many of us are willing to sit out the Super Bowl? I don't even watch it. How many of us are willing to not watch the Grammys? How many of us are, and these are not even difficult, these are not difficult things, right? So I'm saying the takeaway from one day and whatever you hit them in the pockets with, they just find another way to facilitate that money and to get that money poured back into the mainstream. So we got to think bigger. We really do. And it's unfortunate, and this is what really bugs me. Why does it take trauma? Why does it take having to see people murdered on live television? Why does it take, race soldiers going in and snatching people out of their cars and harming children and all of the nefarious, wicked things that they're doing? Why does it always take trauma for people to get activated? Why can't we do a general strike when things are normal? That would really impress me, because we're tethered to trauma. Just like the Black community doesn't really get activated in terms of, I won't say doesn't get activated. Nothing compares to the way that Black people unite and get activated to when a Black man gets, or a Black woman gets killed by police. Nothing. They'll raise $5 million overnight. The family will raise $5 million. It's happened over and over and over again. How come we don't just do that for the random brother in Compton or in Oakland who's trying to get to school, or, bringing that money together and putting that money into a homestead or into a compound or into somebody who's already built a compound, or the brother who, has found a way to use water to create fuel, or, Moses West, who has created a machine that can draw moisture from the atmosphere and produce water. How come we can't join together and pour into things like that? We all up in arms about, they just snatched down the memorials, and I think it was Washington, D.C., where the slavery, they have all these, plaques and things that were describing certain experiences in slavery. And, oh my God, they're taking it down, and they're taking the statues down, and they're taking the real teachings and history and culture out of our schools. Okay, so there is a collective outcry for that. How come we all won't just come together and band together and support someone who has actually created a solution? Y'all have no idea how frustrating it's been for me and how heartbreaking it has been to me to see the lack of support that I've gotten for creating an actual solution that people have been talking about for the whole time I've been doing what I do. So that's why for me, it's just like, why does it have to be traumatic? Why does the government have to clamp down on you for us to get activated and do something that's in our own best interest? Because I'm not getting activated through trauma anymore. I'm not signing on because I saw somebody get killed live yes, they're out of control, but the government has never been more out of control than it was in 2020. This is when we really needed to get activated, and we didn't. And, again, I don't want to make it seem like I'm not supporting the movement or supporting the strategy. It's just, what's the bigger picture here? We want to teach the government a lesson. We want them to acquiesce to, being righteous. The writing is on the wall. These people are not righteous. The system is not set up for us. The average person, the working man and woman, the small business owners, the people who actually advocate for people who, there's 1,000 ways to advocate for the people who don't have a voice. Why aren't we doing that on a day-to-day basis? Just like, African-centered schools and all the hoopla around Umar Johnson School or whether or not it's going to happen. And I put all this money in and da-da-da-da. There's an African-centered school in every major city in America. Why don't we just channel and funnel our money and our energy into the people that have already done it? That's why it's, call me pessimistic, and I'm not really pessimistic at all. It's just my vantage point is different than the average person. But it's like, Jay-Z said, we don't believe you. We need more people. It's hard for me to get inspired about these things when I consistently see us dropping the ball on the coulda, woulda, shoulda, the things that really matter. Oh, they're taking, Trump is taking this out of the schools, and in Florida, Ron DeSantis has done this, and they're not going to talk about Black history and Black culture and da 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 again. I don't want to hear it. I'm over it.
Minneapolis, where ISIS.
I don't know why that's played again.
50 unarmed Black Americans were murdered by police since 2015. That's just the last 10 years. Good old-fashioned police brutality. Some notable names: Oscar Grant, Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, Eric Gardner, Alton Sterling, Baby, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, Sonia Massey, Walter Scott, Stephon Clark, Duante Wright, Elijah McClain, Freddie Gray, Botham Jean, Tatiana Jefferson, Laquan McDonald, Dominique White, Rashard Brooks, Corinne Gaines, and when y'all started paying attention, George Floyd. This is un-American. This is about as American as it fucking gets. And I get the comparisons. We love to invoke Nazi Germany. We love that because the victims there were white, Jewish people. And that's something that y'all can have empathy for. That's something y'all can identify with. But you never mention what King Leopold did in the Congo. Yeah, that Belgian chocolate, cocoa trees in Belgium.
No.
And you remember they were selling chocolate hens? Because they would cut off these, any baby, man, woman, cut off your hand if you didn't meet your quota. But Nazi Germany, that's where you always want to return it to. This is as American as it get. Hitler learned everything about how to conduct himself and how his agents conduct themselves, how those Nazis conduct themselves. He learned that from America. This is as American as it gets. Separating families, that's very American. Killing unarmed citizens, that's very American. It's just very Black American. It's what our experience has been. To be shocked and appalled, that's just a slap in our face. And then when we call out the hypocrisy, you got the nerve to want to criticize us. You got the nerve to sit up and hold your phone up and say, Black Americans, for all of you saying this isn't your fight, to act like you don't know what we mean when we say that. Because when are Black people not going to advocate for oppressed people? We've been fighting this fight since we've been here. But because we don't want to put our bodies on the line, knowing that if they'll kill a Alex Preddy, they'll kill a Renee Good, and the death of Keith Porter Jr. went silent, then we know a lot of our deaths will go silent as well. The deaths of all these migrant men that have been killed since, whether they were legal or illegal, have been silent. I haven't heard their names at all. But they've always brutalized Black people, so you never thought it would happen to you. And now that it happened to you, you want everybody to be all hands on deck. No, your hands is on the deck. This is the reckoning. This is that white wake-up call. 100.
So I love this brother, by the way. Britton, dang, what's the name of his podcast? Oh, Grits and Eggs, Deontay. I love his perspective, his vantage point. And I agree 100% with everything that he said. And a couple of things that I really want to emphasize. Shock and awe is the order of the day. So when he talks about putting our bodies on the line, that's one level of it. But what we're really talking about is putting our energy on the line. And Nicole said the currency is no longer money. We pay with our time and attention. And this is, how when I talk about consciousness creates reality, because it does. And when I talk about Hollywood being Satan's vision board, and it is, it's not just that they are warning you about what's to happen in the movies like iRobot and all of the Contagion and, all these movies for the last 20 years that have been talking about potential viruses and diseases and whatnot. It's not just so that they can tell you what they're going to do. They need to embed it in the collective consciousness so that you believe whatever it is that they're trying to sell, whatever it is that they're trying to project. Because once you believe it and you become fearful, or you become traumatized, or you become engaged and actively participating without being sovereign-minded, right? I could come to you guys and talk about this stuff right now because on a day-to-day basis, I am not tapped into this shit. It doesn't mean I'm not a good person or a good human being. You can't criticize me about nothing. When it comes to anything, whether it's Palestine, whether it's, Minnesota, you can't criticize me about anything, because when the shit hit the fan and I paid the price that I paid for trying to bring awareness and consciousness to that Jim Jones juice, and when Satan was standing in all of our living rooms and I put my livelihood on the line and everybody was standing back and kind of scared or confused or, all of the things, yeah, you can't criticize me about anything. That's number one. Number two, and I'm not making it personal, but that's personal. So, you know what I mean? That's the microcosm and then the macrocosm in terms of what he's talking about in criticizing Black people in America, which I absolutely agree with. And then in the bigger scheme of things, because I'm seeing all of this, and I've been talking about this with you guys for a while now, where it's like everybody else around the world wants to sit around on their high horse and talk about what Americans are or are not doing. There's a lot of negative projection in our direction, right? And so, well, why aren't you using your soapbox to talk about what's going on in your homeland? Why don't we know what's happening in your world? Why are you so focused on what's happening in ours? And you could say, well, because your government is embedded here, your government's military, your government is destabilizing, ... No, that's the American government. I self-law and master. I govern myself. I am my governor, right? I'm a sovereign-minded entity amongst a bunch of NPCs. I watched a video from the brother, the one who does with the glasses. He's a Muslim, very profound brother. I've showed his clips in it. Y'all know his name. I'm not looking at the chat room, so pardon me. But he makes great perspectives and about everything going on in the world. But for the first time, I listened to him the other day, and I meant to put a clip of that in this video, but that was just a little too much for me because it was a long video. Matter of fact, should I go to YouTube? No, I'm not gonna do that. Where he was just basically like, Americans are, Americans, you need to wake up. You're dumb. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And he's like, talking about the Kim Kardashian element and the reality TV element and the ignorant ones among us, the NPCs among us. But the irony is that the people who he is criticizing and using this real strong language are not watching his content. So the people that you're trying to to put the fire up under and trying to get them to pay attention and wake up will never hear the message. It's only people like me that are looking for, cohesive, intelligent, vantage points and perspectives that are even listening to you. And I can assure you, I don't fit in that number. So while you're so busy, thumbing your nose up at Americans and talking about how dumb we are or how we're, all of these things, like, again, going back to my original point, who do you think is going to lead the world out of this mess? No, not the majority of people in America, but the 5% of the 5% of the people in America are the ones who have been qualified in the fire. So it's not even a flex. It's a flex to come out on the other end if you alchemize the situation, but it's not a flex to be like, yeah, I came through the fire and now we're the only ones that are ready. Because do you understand what we had to go through? All of the things that he just talked about? to watch your people go through historic oppression and abuse, to deal with Jim Crow, to deal with, sorry, I'm getting a call that threw me off, to deal with Jim Crow, to deal with lynchings, to deal with, the ongoing subjugation and oppression of history books and of textbooks and of school systems and of prison industrial complex. Yeah, you had your land was conquered and you dealt with imperialism and colonialism. What do you think it's like to sleep next to Satan? What do you think it's like when he's your next door neighbor? So all of that arrogant, haughty, anti-American sentiment, you sitting around and judging and ridiculing us because you don't have anything else to talk about, or because you're blaming us for the government who has consistently done much worse things to us. It's one thing to destabilize the nation and, through the IMF and through the World Economic Forum, in the same way that, and I was saying this when I was having a conversation with a brother who actually just called me, a good friend of mine. They say that the government dropped weapons in Los Angeles, or, did it in Oakland too, right? That urban tale, urban legend, right? And so, but nobody told you didn't have to pick the gun up. In the Sudan, in the Congo, yes, they are, systematically doing things to arm these, they're drugging them and they're doing these systematic things in order to put guns in the hands of these people that turn against their people. But you didn't have to take the drugs. You didn't have to pick the guns up. And that's one of the things that I don't hear people talking about, going back to the original point about how many Black people in America are going now and promoting becoming citizens of different nations in Africa. Well, you got to deal with the fact that there's still female circumcision happening in certain tribes in Africa. You got to deal with the issues of malaria. You got to deal with the vaccination program and how you have to take certain shots. I don't trust any of them. A brother reached out to me and told me he was planning a trip to South Africa and was wondering what I think about him having to get the shot in order to go and navigate certain areas of. I'm not taking none of that shit to go anywhere. Nothing. Not to Thailand, not to Africa, not to South America, I'm not doing it. Now, will I find another way to get around so I can navigate my planet? Of course. But this is why when I talk about spiritual warfare, the things that I'm talking about that everybody's like, I don't want to hear that. What you do, are you showing up tomorrow and boycotting? Are you showing up tomorrow and striking? We don't want to hear that, but that's where the actual real power is at. And that's the thing that none of us want to talk about. Consciousness creates reality. I'm going to tap in with you guys in the chat room in just a second. I just want to play a couple of these videos back to back. To set the tone and to give some well-rounded perspectives of different people in terms of what's happening in the collective conversation. So shout out to you guys in the chat room, and I'm going to go back and read some of your questions and read some of your commentary. If you want to ask an actual question, today we are doing the ZaZaAli Brave funding campaign. So if you make a contribution to that campaign via Cash App, then I will read your question out loud and answer it directly here. And if you want to come on live, you can do the same thing as well. I'll shoot you the link so you can come on live and have a conversation with me face to face. Thank you to the one brother who has shown me love in terms of the super chat. I appreciate you. And thank you to the two people who have showed me love in terms of Cash App. I appreciate you as well.
Black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem.
Peace. How can you laugh at a time like this? How can you joke and dance around and be easy at a time like this? How can you post videos, living your life, loving your family at a time like this? I saw a video of a Black mutual of mine who was essentially asked those questions in response to him posting a funny post on the same day that ICE had taken yet another life. How can you? Now, this is someone who posted conscious content on a regular, along with other personal, relatable content. But on this particular day, the question was, how could you? As if he was shirking a responsibility, with the implication that it should be all hands on deck at a time like this. A time like what? To who? A time like the Triangle Trade, slavery, the Jim Crow era, the Holocaust, a time like the genocide, Reconstruction, the Civil Rights era, a time like the crack era, the LA Rebellion, mass incarceration era, a time like what? And for who? Black Americans, people with disabilities, Palestinians, Congolese, poor people, a time like what? For who? Now, to be clear, I am not an absolutist, and I am certainly not an isolationist. I'm not one of the "this is not our problem" black folks. Most intelligent and informed black people know good and well that if they do that to y'all, they'll do worse to us. History has shown us as much. So we're gonna do what we do because it's what we have always had to do through generations of times like this, and trying to ring the alarm for those of you who wasn't trying to hear it until the time came that it was your turn. But we black parents have been sending our children out into the world knowing that they could get Emmett Till, they could get Trayvon Martin, they could get Mike Brown, and be villainized posthumously over a cigarillo or a bottle of orange juice. And when we say that our lives matter, have many of you retort with all lives matter. People who are suspiciously silent at the moment, especially those of the white lives matter variety. One wonders why, but I digress. It has always been a time like this for us. Those of us who've had to learn to live and love and laugh under duress for the entirety of our time here. Generations of us who've always known what you were just now discovering. That it's not that to white supremacists we are nothing but collateral damage. It's that to white supremacists we are nothing. And now you know, white supremacy was not created for white people. White people were created for white supremacy. It will always be a time like this for people like us and you. Not like us. Unless you are black, and I don't mean everybody black. Stay out of black folks' comments trying to dictate how we cope at a time like this. For me, that means posting content that will inspire, not just enrage. I will continue to love, laugh, be the best me that I can be for those whom I'm here to serve. But it is not up to you to dictate how we do what we do at a time like this. We out here.
So again, I just find it so interesting how much is expected of us. They love our culture, but hate us as a people. Clyde, I'm assuming that you're referring to me because I haven't shown any videos of anything but women. I'm corny, so why are you here then? You're corny for being here. So you could just move around, you know? I know you guys get frustrated when I address certain things like this, but you have no idea what it's like to come and spend my time and energy, under my own free will, to come and build with you guys and to, try to raise the consciousness and raise the frequency and have to deal with this type of shit, because I don't have to deal with it. So I don't really do a lot of content, So if I'm corny, then you can just tune out and your problem is solved. Much love, George from Huntsville, Alabama. Welcome. Very happy to have you here. I see you talking about the Beats by Dre. I'm not really sure. I see you're making a point about that. I'm not really sure if it's relevant to what we're talking about here. Okay. This is the other thing I'm talking about. So this is this person, and you about to get blocked because you're super corny. But let me just give you the attention that you're looking for real quick. So this person, someone else that's connected to this person, and this is why I'm telling y'all the social media thing. Somebody put a comment and talked about boycotting social media and going underground. I promise you, I don't have to deal with this type of shit in the real world. I give nothing but love when I'm out amongst the people. Somebody reached out to me on Monday and purchased a copy of Ancient People through Cash App, which saved them, I did the $8 off special. For the next 2 days, I was interacting with this person, asking them to send me an email to verify the shipping information. And the book was shipped today, mind you. So the fact that this weirdo is still in my comments talking shit is bewildering to me. And I screenshotted every comment you left and then deleted that shit. So if you ever try to make it seem like you didn't crash out, to use your words, you absolutely crashed out. So this is the stuff that people who run businesses through social media have to deal with. Everybody got access to you, right? So as of yesterday, I reached out to the person who bought the book and asked them to send me the email to verify. I have verification of all of this. and asked them to make sure you send me the information. So I'm making sure that I can ship the book out. Today, I wake up to back-to-back messages about just this same type of energy. Mind you, the book has been shipped. The tracking information has been sent. The book was ordered on Monday. So you can call me self-absorbed. You can call me whatever you want to, but you will be doing it from the sidelines, because you will not be engaging in this conversation anymore with your weird, hyperactive, spazzing out, self. Goodbye. I was just letting you know who I am, Za. I seen 500 more energy. Okay. Why Africa can't produce a ZaZaAli, only foundational Black Americans could. We are the chosen. I don't use that language. I don't use that title. I don't subscribe to any of that. But I respect the people who do, and I understand the reasoning why. But yeah, I don't fall under that umbrella. I'm God having a human experience called ZaZaAli. And you can add that to your smart ass remarks about me being, what did you say, self-absorbed? Yeah, God in the flesh having an experience called ZaZaAli. Now you can take that to the bank or put that shit in your pipe and smoke it. Smart ass. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to that person who I just acknowledged. It's crazy how much, talking about projecting and people coming for me. Like, what is the conversation? The gods are at war. What have I been talking about? The spiritual warfare aspect of this. There's a macrocosm and then there is a microcosm. The macrocosm is the ping pong consciousness. Today is UFOs. Tomorrow is ICE. The next day is going to be, whatever is in the mainframe, all of the things that CNN and Fox, whatever is happening in the collective consciousness in mainstream media. Ping pong, you all over the place till you're nowhere really. But on a microcosm, it's this type of shit, where I'm literally coming and talking about important topics and trying to give some stability and trying to inject some righteous, divine, feminine perspective in the conversation. And I got to deal with this weirdo shit. You know what I mean? I know I wasn't projecting. I know what you meant by or what they meant by the commentator projecting towards me. This is spiritual warfare. So here I am trying to be on my square and doing what I do, doing my life's work and my life's mission. And I got to deal with the weirdo shit, because light attracts everything. Some people are born lions. Some people are born as goats. You got a couple of gnats in the chat. That's all mid irritants as they are. Facts. Yeah, and you know what I mean? Sometimes gnats got to get dealt with, and I'm okay with that. I'm a warrior. I'm a spiritual warrior. So it's going to be difficult for you to be in my vicinity and to disrespect me or to try to spit in my face, and it's not going to get addressed. I know we're accustomed to that in our culture, and this is not in response to you. This is just we let so much weird shit slide. We let so much clown shit slide that it's just kind of like we're all used to it. We're all kind of neutral to it, right? But yeah, you're not doing that when you're in my space. I'm going to address it. And you notice as the numbers, I noticed this too, right? As the numbers on the live increase, hold on. I noticed that as the numbers increase, right, it's almost like they come in waves. Like they'll go and get, you know what I mean, put the rally call out, and then I'll get this wave of like weird negative energy, like this person. This woman is actually looking like I assume that's devil that she is for some reason. It's brought out more tonight, looks wise. So yeah, I'm gonna delete them. I'm gonna, ban them from being able to comment on my video. But please understand, I know you guys want me to ignore these things. It's very difficult to ignore when somebody just walks up to you and spits in your face or disrespects you like that. If you've never been in that situation, then you don't know what it feels like. But I'm not built for that. I'm not built for people to play with me like that and me just sit here and act like it doesn't bother me. Yeah, it does bother me, and I will light your ass up. Intellectually, emotionally, mentally, this is where I operate. This is the space that I operate in. So you will get lit up if you come in my chat room and play with me and disrespect me. And yes, I do know how to, to keep it pushing. There was another comment that I wanted to read. I think I missed it. It's not bots. This is the thing. I've been doing this for long enough. It's not bots. Bots spam you with emojis. Bots say random things that are not, particular or individualized. I know how I can tell when I'm dealing with bots. These are be real people. I have been dealing with this for a long time, y'all. I have, I've had to go to battle with peasants and peons in this social media space. And because of certain things that I've talked about, it has gravitated a certain type of energy towards me. So these be real people that are actively trying to get under my skin. Sometimes it is bots, but sometimes these are real people. We got niggas in our community trying to disarm and disable righteousness every single day in all facets of our culture. And when I say niggas, I don't just mean black people. I mean people that are mentally and spiritually dead. They are amongst us everywhere. So of course they're going to be represented online. Some of it's bots, some of it's real people, So let me pull up this next video so I can stay the course.
Sunday, I've had over 300,000 real Chicagoans reach out to me and express their anger that instead of plowing the streets, you are out protesting ICE. Your rhetoric has been encouraging people to rise up and fight ICE. Many people say that is the cause of the violence, the real violence against federal agents and law enforcement. There's also a concern that in light of this report that Governor Walz in Minnesota, that people in his office are actually coordinating these violent anti-ICE protests.
Please ask the question.
Anyone? Yeah, I'm trying to ask the question.
Thank you.
Please, if you wouldn't mind not interrupting me while I'm asking my question.
Ask it. Thanks.
So the question is, people are wondering if anyone in your office is coordinating with these ICE protesters to coordinate protests and violence against federal law enforcement.
Well, first of all, let me again just commend the efforts and the work of the city employees that made sure that our streets were plowed and that we had warming centers available for individuals who were either unhoused or just need that type of assistance and support. Those hardworking men and women served this city honorably. So no one was stuck. No one had to be dug out. They were able to go to work and children were able to go to school. As far as using my platform to speak out against an administration that's murdering people in the streets, that's well within my right and my authority in this moment. And quite frankly, any notion to suggest that somehow that peaceful protest and the petitioning of this government is somehow antithetical to who we are as a democracy, I would call into question how much that person actually loves this country. In fact, to not protest in this moment will be a derelict of duty, particularly at a time where we see the rise of tyranny and fascism that threatens the sensibility of our humanity. So of course, I'm going to use my platform as those who have come before me to make sure that we have a democracy that works for all people. Working people are struggling right now in this moment, and they are afraid and they have a great deal of anxiety because of what this administration is doing, taking food assistance away from people, taking housing opportunities away from people. Healthcare costs continue to go up. So the protest, I believe, has to match the energy, quite frankly, that's coming from the White House. So yes, I'm going to continue to encourage people to rise up, lift their voices up against this authoritarian rule, because if we do not do that, all of us will be subject to the type of harm and cruelty that this administration wants to continue to spread against the hardworking people of this country.
Hear from us because they work for us. We pay their salaries with our tax dollars. So let's go. You are not powerless over what's happening in Minnesota. There is something that I can do about it. There's something that you can do about it right now, because I know that this situation is horrifying, but I also know that when I'm feeling afraid or hopeless, action with like-minded people always helps me feel better. And taking action to fight injustice actually helps. One of the most effective things that you can do right now, today, is calling your representative. And yes, I understand that calling a senator is maybe something you've never done before. Maybe it feels intimidating or pointless, but it matters and it works. Every call is logged. Every voice adds weight, okay? Also, text this video to 5 friends. And if you can't do this right now with me, then text it to yourself so that you do it as soon as you can, okay? Grab your phone. Here's my phone. We are gonna call 202-224. 3121. Okay, we're calling this the Senate switchboard. I speak to senators from California.
Please say the name of the United States Senator or Representative that you are trying to reach, or say I'm not sure.
Senator Padilla, California. But if you don't know, you can say I don't know.
Connecting you to the office of Senator.
I'm not going to play the rest of that. I wanted to play a political perspective and then a celebrity perspective. And I know I showed Vic Mensa. But what was key to me is that the Chicago mayor, referenced working people struggling. And this is the thing, again, because I'm sitting back and looking at all this activity and this motion and all this negative projection on America, and then all of the negative projection within America. The average person is working just like the connotation or the what people think about people in LA. The average person thinks that people in LA are like Tesla driving, NPCs or Kim Kardashian wannabes or Bloods and Crips. You have all of these perspectives on what people in LA are. And I guarantee you, the average person, 95% of the people here are regular, hardworking, everyday mothers and fathers and students and regular people in life that are just trying to find their way and figure shit out just like everybody else. Right. And so you add the pressure and the stress and the strain of that, because whatever your gas cost is where you live, I can assure you it pales in comparison to the cost of living here. Whatever you think the cost of living to send your child to a private school or a Montessori school or some private institution of knowledge pales in comparison to what it is here. The cost of living, the cost of groceries. And you can say, well, why don't you move? That's not the point. Everybody here is trying to find a way and trying to figure it out. And so the point that I wanted to make, let me come back to my notes. The working people struggling, and now you're stretched even more thin because you have a new cause, something new to be frustrated about. Somebody said fear is a hell of a motivator, and that's a fact. So is anger. Uncontrolled anger is a perfect way for the powers that be, or the powers that used to be, to hone in and siphon the energy of the average person, which is what this is really about. You guys think it's just about money. It's not. We're way past that. We're way past follow the money. This is, this is so much bigger than that. This is about controlling human consciousness. This is about psychological warfare. This is about you worshiping fear as your God. The collective visionary said, that's why a lot of brilliant minds have left YouTube. They went underground, and now you have to pay $200 to access a live from them now and hear their wisdom. As soon as my book pops off the way that I know it's getting ready to pop off, it's not even going to be about paying to see me live. I'm not going to be in these spaces like this. I don't have to deal with this shit. I don't have to deal with people talking crazy to me. I don't have to deal with the disrespect. The people don't show love anymore. You know what I mean? It's not financially. It's just so much to doing this now. And the support is not there. The book sales are not there. The reciprocity is just not there. People will tune in and watch you to get a feel-good moment or to, to disagree or to agree or to whatever. But the reciprocity in terms of support on this platform is not there anymore. It's not beneficial for me to come on here and give my time and my energy and have to deal with this type of shit, because people don't play with me like this in real life. I've never, in the 15, almost somewhere between 17 years that I've been doing this, I've never had a person come up to me and play with me and say anything that the type of shit that I just went through, these type of comments, not once, not ever. I had a situation in Houston one time, and this is probably like 13 years ago, maybe 12, 11 years ago, somewhere around there. I'm speaking at an event. I got a long line of people that are, I'm doing book signings and pictures and whatnot. And this guy who was clearly obsessed with me, but also like very mentally unstable. You can see when a person is not all there. So this is somebody who is not operating with all his mental faculties. He pushed up on me and mentioned some, one of the fuck boys, pardon my language, but it's the only thing that is appropriate, who came for me online and tried to, you know what I mean? One of you guys' favorite kings. He's a peasant to me, but he came for me online and started this, this whole big campaign, and all of his simpletons came after me as well. And so this guy who was obviously mentally unhinged, when he said his name, I was like, okay. But then I also was like watching his body language and his eyes, and, he's probably like borderline ADHD or whatever. And so, his brothers in the room who handled the situation. That's the only time I've ever in person had somebody like, and I can't even say it didn't even get to the point where it got disrespectful. It was a potential disrespectful type of thing. So me having to deal with this type of shit is just not beneficial enough for me. The goal is to use the platform to get people to purchase books, to get people to sign up for, to monetize the channel and all of the things. I talk about things that get my videos demonetized half the time, because I'm getting ready to talk about something in a second. Plus, I'm always talking about the Jim Jones juice, because I'm never letting that shit ride. I'm never letting what they did to us in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, the financial cost that I experienced, the censorship and what that did to me and what that did to my business. I don't care. I'm not ever letting that shit ride. So the probability of me talking about things that will demonetize my content are high. But I wouldn't be myself if I didn't do what I'm supposed to be doing, what I came here to do. So this is not beneficial for me to come in these spaces and have to deal with people spitting in my faces and disrespecting me because they get off on it, bot or not. So to your point, when I go underground, it's not even going to be about the money. It's going to be about, I don't want to deal with this type of shit. And sometimes when I'm in the middle of these lives, I kid you not, and I've told you guys this before, I'll have a moment in my mind and in my heart where my energy drops. And I say to myself, why am I doing this? Why am I wasting my time? Because this is not reciprocal. So it's not that beneficial for me, number one. I give you 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours of my time. It don't really pay off for me like that, right? I'm trying to sell books. I'm trying to keep my business and my momentum moving forward. It's not happening in these YouTube spaces anymore, right? The monetization is not benefiting me anymore. So why am I doing this? Nothing is serious to us anymore. It's like a feel-good moment and then you on to the next thing. I don't want to be in those type of spaces. So him mentioning the working people struggling, which is something I want to emphasize. And then Kerry Washington, I know she has good intentions. I believe she really has good intentions. But these celebrities do not care about the average person. How do we know that? Because they only get involved when there's trauma. They only get involved when there's a killing, when there's a shooting, or there's something that's traumatic that happens. And now MSNBC is talking about it, and Fox is talking about it, and mainstream media and all of the commentators, social media influencers, everybody's talking about it. So now you want to get involved. But you could be using your platform to help the average person who is working and struggling in Chicago, in LA, in Detroit, in New York, in Miami, in Brooklyn, in Houston, in Dallas. We don't hear shit from these people about the average, the thing that people are dealing with in real time, real life. So I don't believe you. I think you might be talking about the Chicago mayor when you say that's the same. Matter of fact, let me stop reading your comments because I get the undertone of what I see where you're coming from, and I'm not going to give you any more time. The Chicago mayor who ain't did anything for his Black American citizens, really. Why do the leaf blowers people blow the dirt without integrity in a way that is just pollution? I'm not sure what that means. We spend billions of dollars. Let me stop reading your comments. Tuning in from Maryland. I just got home from DC. I listened to you on the way back. Much love. Glad you made it safe. You cannot respect a group or class unless you have previously encountered the exact same. Love cannot be expressed on. Okay, so, whew. Y'all gonna miss me when I'm not accessible and available anymore. I know it, but that's the story of my life. That's how it always goes. And I'm here for that at this point because so I made the point about the trauma, the celebrities getting involved. They don't really care about us. He said all of us will be subject to this. And I've been seeing that sentiment a lot, right? If we don't get involved, if we don't do this, if we don't do that, then they're coming for all of us. I beg your pardon. Stop speaking that shit into existence. These people operate, they understand how the spiritual realm operates. They understand how, if they can get enough people to focus, enough people to look in that direction and focus in that direction, that it activates a certain type of consciousness and it activates a certain type of energy. So I beg your pardon, Mr. Chicago Mayor, as well as all of the social media commentators who are online projecting that shit on us, me and my son and my family and my loved ones in particular. No, that shit's gonna breeze right past me because I understand how the spiritual realm works. Stop saying that. I'm trying to keep my head in the game because I promise you I want to end this live right now and tap out. That's really where my energy is. But just the spirit of who I am demands and commands that I get through this and say the things that I really want to say. But I promise you there's a part of me that's already like tapped out, right? When we look at the Biden administration, right? Because everybody's talking about Trump. And this is another, reason why I can't take any of this shit serious. And not to say that, people being murked online and all of that is, I get all of that. It's all relative. It's all important. When the Biden administration, one of the big elements of the program during that time was about immigrations. We had people coming in from Venezuela. We had, the floodgates coming from Mexico. Remember the big thing when all of those people came in and they had the white horse riders, and the photographers just happened to be there and they're watching the whole thing and they made a big hoopla about that. And then they talked about all the Haitians coming in and it was just this free for all. And now Black people are mad because they're giving them EBT and they're giving them down payments for mortgages and they're giving them health care. And so now we're protesting and mad at the fact that they're giving them all these things that they never even gave them. Yeah, there was a little toys and some things that were sprinkled around. Yes, they paid for hotels in New York and there was money that was actually funneled out. But a lot of that money wasn't even funneled out. This is stipends and how these things work. They're not actually cutting a check to Marriott to house 50,000 immigrants. That's not how it works. But even if it did, that was a short-term strategy for a long-term agenda. And that is the agenda that we're looking at right now. This program has been unfolding now since the beginning of Biden's administration. I need people who are adept, who can see this beyond just getting caught up in the matrix of what's happening right now, because the emotion of it is going to get a lot of you guys. I don't know if it's what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say it's dangerous, but that's not the language I'm looking for. I think that there are different levels of ramifications of being in the midst of very large public crowds in all across the world, It's not particular to America, but I think there is a different level of frequency wars that are taking place when people are coming together in large bodies and protesting and marching that you guys are not cognizant of. And I can't even really talk about it because I'm going to pay a price for that. And plus, I know the average person don't even really want to know that. Frequency wars, cell phone towers, activating certain states of consciousness in people who are angry and who have vitriolic energy and who are, fired up emotionally, not in a good way. Controlled anger is one thing. That vitriolic anger, especially from white America, because again, you guys are now being faced with what we've been dealing with this whole time. Malcolm said the chicken's coming home to roost. There's a different type of frequency war that's happening. And it's almost like I can say these things till I'm blue in the face. 5% of the 5% of the people that are listening to me will take hold to it and it'll make sense. But for everybody else, this is just entertainment. I know it's just entertainment. Speaking of which, let me just bring myself back to trying to make some sort of benefit out of this situation for me. I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm opening my Climbing the Ladder of Yourself workshop up to men and women. There is a link in the description for $45 to sign up for that. We're going to meet. Our first meeting is going to be on February 7th. I will be discussing the things that I put together for the Climbing the Ladder of Yourself course. And then we will be coming together and discussing that, as well as dealing with the struggles and the stress and the strain of living in this environment in a cohesive group type setting offline where I don't have to deal with all of this weird shit. Right? So if you're interested in being a part of that, I have 5 spots that are $45. The regular pricing is $55. Once 5 people sign up, that link is going to be deactivated and I'll replace it with the $55 link. That's for the next 4 months. And there's going to be limited space available for that. I have opened my calendar up for one-on-one consultations. If you're interested in signing up for that, you can sign up between now and tomorrow at 8 p.m. I said this at the beginning of the video, so that's 24 hours at a 50% discount. So that's $75 for a 1-hour consultation. I'm only taking payments for that by Cash App. If you want to sign up for 5 consultations, you can do so for $300. That's $60 per consultation. I'm only taking Cash App payments for that. And I'm doing it by Cash App because I'm getting, no Vaseline type situations in terms of the amount of money that I'm paying in fees on my website. I got to pay money to use these things for my businesses. And then they're hitting me on every last transaction that I do. So that's why I'm offering Cash App, because I don't have to deal with that when I deal with Cash App. And then I'm doing the braid funding campaign because I'm getting my braids done tomorrow, and I'm taking all love, especially because I got to sit here and deal with this type of weirdo shit in this space. So show some love and show some reciprocity. Please. That mobilization with no plan. I mean, I respect the mobilization because it's very difficult to mobilize and get people to come together in a unified fashion. It's just boycotting is not building. And all I see the collective consciousness doing is boycotting. I don't see any real tangible benefiting. We have these feel-good moments. We come together, we trauma bond, we bond in dysfunction and chaos, and then, nothing happens from there. So I think I made my point about that. There's a couple of other videos that I want to show just to make the point that I want to make. And anybody that wants to ask a question, you can do so if you contribute to my campaign, and I will read it live and address it. And you probably have like maybe 10 minutes to get that in, because I'm not going to be talking. I'm going to cut this short in just a minute here because I'm almost at my wit's end. I'm trying to hang in there though, just because I said I was going to do this. And so I want to stand by what I actually said I was going to do for myself.
the most dangerous black man in the world right now. And not for the reason you think. Dangerous because he's dismantling centuries of propaganda in 60-second clips. For generations, Western media and power structure spent billions in painting Africa as savage, dangerous, poor, working tirelessly to divide Africans on the continent and our family in the diaspora. Made many black Americans believe they would be hated here, that they would never belong. Then a young black streamer from America lands in South Africa, Angola, Kenya, Rwanda, and what happens? Love, country to country, city to city, overwhelming love. Artists hand him portraits, kids chant his name, elders bless him, street vendors feed him real food. Every city, every border, welcome home. Now, some will say, well, he's famous, of course he gets love. But fame didn't protect him everywhere. In parts of Europe or Asia where he is just as known, he was met with racial slurs, monkey noises, people literally throwing bananas. On this continent, he is valued, respected, protected, and celebrated. Here's why this matters more than you think. Speed's audience is young. Millions who've had zero touch points with Africa beyond negative headlines and history classes filled with lies. He's not just talking to people who are already aware. He's introducing a lot of new people, the next generation, to a side of Africa they desperately tried to hide. His live streams show real kindness. He's making respect for Africa go viral. He's changing the message from be careful to you must visit and experience this for yourself. This matters because narrative shapes movement. When a 16-year-old black American in Chicago, who's been told his whole life that there's no food in Africa, watches Speed taste local food in Zimbabwe and say, it breaks that lie in seconds. Now imagine black teens across the Americas. Watch how people on the continent embrace Speed like a cousin. Something shifts fundamentally. Maybe Africa isn't just struggle. Maybe Africa is me. And that's the danger. Dangerous to a long-running story that kept many away from the continent, away from its people, talent, and opportunities. Once you witness the love and feel seen, the old script stops working. You start planning trips that will build bridges, lead to real meaningful relationships, cultural projects, and business ideas. That means money, skills, and attention flowing toward African cities, not away from them. I left Germany behind and built a new life in Africa because what many of us already knew, iShowSpeed is proving live and reminding everyone who missed it. This is home. Africa is where we are valued, welcomed, respected, and able to build.
So let me just say this off top. I have a great deal of respect for anybody that is shining a light on African culture on the continent. I'm an avid student of African history and African culture. So all of that anti-African, tethering, all that weird shit y'all be on, don't put me in that because I am not a part of any of that. I'm here to support and to uplift and to speak life into the melanated family across the world. You don't have to be of my tribe for me to see the beauty in you. You don't have to be from my tribe, and I put that in quotations, for me to uplift you or so for me to see the value in your life and in your culture. I don't have that type of mindset, right? And so I love the fact that he is shining a light and bringing attention and all of the things, everything that she said, I 100% agree with her in terms of those things. What I don't agree with is this or anybody being the most dangerous black man in the world right now. And it says that in the caption, right? You can see it on the caption. I can't remember if she said those exact words or if she said one of, right? So I want to make sure I give her proper credit. Mind you, I don't know if this is a real person or if this is AI. That's the time we're living in now. And I also know, because I've been researching this and looking into this through my headline news episodes, that a lot of the content around Ibrahim Traore is AI. A lot of the content that is highlighting him, that is focusing on him, is AI. What does that mean? I guess time will tell. That doesn't mean that he's not really doing what they're saying he's doing. That doesn't mean that, it's not, it may not mean anything, or it may mean everything. Because I am a researcher, I am paying attention to all of this because the algorithm is steering consciousness in different directions, right? So I want to make sure that I say that. I don't know if this is a real person or if this is an actual AI or not. But I know that the sentiment that she is sharing, a lot of people agree with. So I am very proud of, the representation of Africa shining a light on the broader context. I am not absolute. I am 1000% in disagreement of him or any one man being the most important Black man in the world or anywhere. Stop that shit. We get way too sucked into this savior complex. No, the most important Black man in the world is the one who controls his own mind. The one who is operating from a higher state of consciousness, who accepts the weight and the responsibility of being sovereign-minded. She didn't have to put a target on him. Everybody put a target on him. Everybody who's been shining light, everybody who's been focusing. These people it's so easy for them to watch now, especially when you're live streaming all the time. And that's the second point I want to make. I've never watched any of his content, so I don't know if he's one of those live streamers that live streams their whole entire life. I'm getting the perspective that he is like, what's the other brother's name? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Kai Cenat, who's now coming out and talking about all his mental health issues. But I know for a fact that we're seeing great momentum and great financial gain for certain streamers, and I'm happy for them and I'm happy for their families. But the live streaming culture is having a very dangerous and detrimental effect on the minds of a lot of these young people who are tuning into this content. So let's not, miss the bigger picture here. There's something else that's going on. And then in terms of the impact, what impact is this going to have on Africa, on the people in Angola and the people in Egypt and the people who are amongst him? I mean, the fanfare and the, people, it's just weird to me, but I've never understood that with celebrities, let alone influencers. Why are you wigging out and acting like, you know what I mean? I've said Jesus, even though I wouldn't even use Jesus as an example, but just for the collective consciousness, like, you know what I mean? Why are you wilding out and wigging out like what's all of that about? Homage, yes. Respect, yes. Appreciation and admiration and respect, yes. Namaste. All of the goodness in me salutes all of the goodness in you. But this celebrity culture shit is weird to me. This savior complex is weird to me. So in terms of the streaming world, salute to him, salute to Kai Cenat and those young brothers and sisters that are gaining extreme financial momentum, etc. But the streaming world is having a very dangerous and detrimental effect on the collective consciousness in terms of young people. This is a fact. So now we can pivot from the impact on Africa and maybe hopefully take that experience and come back home and realize a bigger picture and look into what the streaming culture and the streaming world is actually doing in terms of depression and anxiety and self-esteem and confidence when it comes to these young people, and start to apply it in a way that is beneficial in a substantial way and not just the hoopla and the fanfare from a trending experience. Remember when Kai Cenat went out to, New York, and I think he was giving away something. And so he showed up and all these tens of thousands of people, and it was all this hoopla and all of this fanfare, and everybody was like, yeah, Kai Cenat is this and his impact and this and this and that. And now here we are a year, 2 years later, and this man is coming forward and talking about his mental breakdown. How can you be that damn young and your mind be splitting? This is the point that I need to make, because we're not looking at the bigger picture here. There's an elephant in the room. The guy, the Chicago mayor, talking about, working people struggling. Yes, working people are struggling. So now add this into the fold. With working people struggling, with wealthy people struggling, with rich people struggling, with middle class people struggling, with, upper middle class. Like, everybody is under a different level of mental and spiritual pressure right now. It's tangible. I can almost taste it. I can almost feel it. It's in the air. There's a density. There is an uneasiness. There is an unsettled element in the collective consciousness right now. So what happens when you sit hundreds of thousands or millions? We keep saying our young people are the future. They're going to be the ones who are going to lead us out of this or lead us through this. Not if they're sitting around and watching streaming 24 hours a day. Now, I'm willing to say that and to deal with the blowback that comes with us, because, again, we're not looking at the bigger picture. Kai Cenat said he is worth how many millions now? Tens of millions of dollars now, and is still struggling to like find his value and his self-worth. Give me a few more minutes, you guys. I'm almost done. I just like, yeah. This live stream is really kind of reiterating something for me. And I forget when I do it sometimes when I come on these videos, and now I'm like reminded of why I'm not doing content in these spaces anymore. So I appreciate the lesson. Or the reminder, not the lesson.
Storms, snow, and ice now span 1,300 miles as power outages mount and roads close. That's from CNN News. From Fox Weather, crippling ice threatens millions in historic winter storm path with major power outages and travel issues. Now consider this former headline from ABC. Artificial snowstorm brings chaos to Beijing. So, the Chinese can routinely engineer winter weather mayhem and the USA can't? Really? If you think chemical ice nucleation isn't a thing, think again. Chemical ice nucleation is one of the biggest weapons in the climate engineering arsenal. What is chemical ice nucleation and how is it used for climate engineering? Energy absorbing elements create an endothermic or energy absorbing reaction, as this lab demonstration clearly shows. Such materials have an absolutely profound effect on precipitation behavior and can convert what should have been liquid precipitation into frozen precipitation. Endothermic materials are specifically named in climate engineering patents. The weather modification patent shown is expressly for a chemical ice nucleation process. This patent was filed over a half-century ago. For how many decades have we been exposed to weather that official sources are still trying to convince the population is only natural?
There's another storm impending this weekend. Can't see your, well, let me just do this. It was a regular storm to me. The news made it worse than it was, but they've been doing that now for years because it's not just to alter or to modify the weather. It's also to push this climate change, HOAX. This is all about keeping people, focused on the weather, turning up against us and the storms are the worst they've ever been, right? Remember, there has been so many storms where they made this big hoopla. They evacuated the whole state of Florida and and then nothing happened, right? So it is absolutely, their ability to manipulate and to alter the weather for sure, which they're absolutely doing. I watched them build the storm right here on the coast of the Pacific coast in LA. So it's the thing about this, what else can I even say? I don't even, what else can I even say at this point? Yeah. People don't care until it affects them.
These and people still get them because when they lock this internet up, ain't nobody streaming nothing. Streaming was created for real-time editing. The reason we're all into streaming, the reason why they took the hard drive out of the Apple TV, the reason why they don't want you with content is because they want to be able to alter content. See, if you're streaming, it's on their server, not yours. You don't own it. You don't even have it. That's why they sell a computer now, the fastest computer out right now, and the hard drive is tiny. Why do you only give me 128 gigabytes? And if you want more, you got to pay thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
Why are they doing that? Because they want it in the cloud. Because two things happens if it's in the cloud. One, they have it. And the other thing is, they learn it. Metatron don't know. He's not omniscient. He's not like God or whatever. This demon spirit has to learn.
They need our voices, our images,
Dude, it's us. We're all cyborgs. There's a digital version of all of us in the hands of the enemy. He's created it from our uploads. He's showing all your birthdays, he's showing everything you do. He's learning. How else would the devil be omnipresent? He wants to be like God. The internet makes him omnipresent. That's crazy.
So look at that. Internet makes him omnipresent. And then you think about somebody watching a 24-hour stream and putting their and projecting their consciousness and focusing in on somebody's regular everyday life, whether they're an influencer or a celebrity or not. Just think about somebody being that in tune and tapped into somebody else's life. So what I wanted to say with the Dane Wigington video, and I just got so just watching that and hearing that and knowing that the average person doesn't have the bandwidth to do anything with that information, but like how urgent and important it is in terms of where we are in the collective consciousness is just such a schism to me. I really struggle with being in these spaces and talking about these things because, to be honest, the writing is on the wall. And people say, well, what are we going to do about it? No, we should have been activated 20 years ago. We should have been activated 15 years ago when people like myself were actually sounding the alarm and trying to get people to pay attention to this shit. And everybody was kind of looking at me and, some people, I was pseudoscience or I was a liar or I was this or I was that, or it was like, but it was happening right over our heads. And it's happening right over our heads. How could humanity be that mentally disenfranchised, spiritually disconnected, that you can't see this major scale operation happening right over our heads for 30 years? Now, I want to see politicians and celebrities and influencers talk about that shit. Then I respect you. Because best believe in Minnesota, while those protests and those marches are taking place, they are heavily spraying those. I've watched the content. I see it right over their heads. They're getting sprayed like roaches while they're out in the streets en masse. Is it a different concoction? Is it a special concoction for large crowds? This is how we need to be thinking about these things. And in the cell phone towers, and they turn up the frequency and then they beam, and then we're trying to figure out why people are unraveling and losing their shit. Yeah, the devil is a wise scientist. Somebody referenced, or to be politicians, celebrities, and influencers. How about you stand up for something that's not trending? How about you talk about the death rate of the people who have taken that Jim Jones juice? How about you talk about the pandemic and the lies that they told us from 2020 to 2025 and the ramifications in real time on real people's lives? I would respect that. Somebody referenced cloud seeding in the comments. And again, this is all language that's going to get this video demonetized. When you guys use that language in the comments, when I play these type of videos, it gets my videos demonetized because I'm talking about things that will get you demonetized. Just for context. So, cloud seeding is a language, is language that they are injecting into the collective conscious now. It's becoming a trending language or words that everybody is using, but it's not accurate language. Cloud seeding sounds like they take a cloud and they spray some sort of iodine, sulfate. This is what they're telling us. They're spraying this particular concoction, which includes iodine and some other things, into a cloud, and they exasperate that organic original cloud to create rain and to create really just rain. That's all they're giving it credit for. That is a very watered down version of what is actually happening. They're laying lines and trails in our sky that are laced with barium, strontium, aluminum, polymer fibers, and this is technology. This is not just stuff they're spraying in the sky to make the clouds grow. This is a two-way technology that can be steered like a drone. Very small nanoparticle size technology, which is a variation of what's in that Jim Jones juice, which is a variation of what was in those face masks, the blue ones in the N95, which is a variation of what was in those tests that people put up in their nostrils. And some people did that shit every day or every week. They were doing it to our children. Now, you wonder why I'm not impressed by none of this shit? Because when we really needed to band together and to be learning and to be researching and to be doing exposés and doing videos that was exposing the real satanic agenda, Everybody got quiet and left it up to, the handful of people around the world that were actually paying attention. That was what was really going on. And then the collective doesn't even support those people. My people, with what I know about this technology, with the technology that I know about that's in the shot, you would think that my people would gather around me and protect me by any means necessary and help to make sure that my life is taken care of and that the burden of living is off of my shoulders so that I can focus on figuring out how to get that shit out of our bodies. Your bodies, not mine. Your children's bodies, not mine. You would think that my people would be galvanizing around me and supporting me because I've consistently created the things that everybody said we needed, but they don't. That's why it's hard for me to respect any of this, because we get together and we hone in on whatever the ping pong consciousness. What is it today? What is it going to be tomorrow? Now, I don't even know if these people, these race soldiers, at this point, I don't even know if it's like, is this a real human being? Does this person have a soul? Are we dealing with an NPC? A lot of these people come from the military, from different branches of the military. A lot of them are under different levels and layers of MK Ultra. What are we even really dealing with? If you got that shot in your body, can they beam a frequency and send a signal to your brain to tell you to do something that you're not even cognizant of? This is the level that the war is being waged on. So what are you really protesting? What are you really standing up against? What are you really marching for? We're way past cloud seeding. The cloud seeding is when they were testing this stuff out back in the Vietnam War, when they were, that's like 40, 50-year-old language. This is a multi-pronged exercise that includes lining the skies with those white lines that billow out and form these weird long cloud formations. This is about antennas that are strategically placed all across our country that are beaming our upper atmosphere with gazillions and trillions of tons of low vibrational electronic frequencies to activate this technology that they're spraying in our sky to heat our upper atmosphere. There's so many levels and layers to this, and they're telling you it's cloud seeding. It's disrespectful. This is the type of shit you say and do to people that you think are stupid. And I don't mean to, please don't take my frustration personal, because I promise you it's not you that is directed to. This is stuff that I've been saying for a very long time now. I really want to keep my belief in humanity, man. It's just, oof. And I'm also not a pessimistic person. I'm also a naturally, organically optimistic person. So for me to have to be in this space where I come in these spaces and try to have these conversations, this is not conducive to my well-being, which is why I'm not going to be doing it too much in the coming days. Somebody mentioned going underground and the internet and social media. Like, yeah, when you want to hear from me in the coming days, you're going to have to come see me speak in public. I'm not going to be accessible like this. All are saying content because of Q from WorldStar, and Q was telling lies the entire time because Q did not create WorldStar. You wouldn't believe what has been going on in my immediate life. Yeah. It's all in the cards, fam. It's called the abomination of desolation. We're at the doorstep of that era, prepared to help the ones who make it. Many people are not. It was written. Yeah, this is a fact. You are loved and appreciated. Maybe. But by a few, you have to make sure that you make it so you can help others. I believe they're activating the nanotechnology at concerts. Yeah. So when oh my goodness, the 5G towers and the 5G technology is embedded in these large plasma screens. I know those of you guys who watch my content know this because I've been talking about it for a long time. The screens in the Beyonce and all of these major festivals, the screens are laced with 5G antennas, millions of antennas that are tied to the bulbs that are in these large plasma screens. And so when they first started giving out the Jim Jones juice, they were doing these major festivals and they were telling people you have to either have taken the shot or you have to have been tested. These were the prerequisites in order to go to these festivals and these concerts, which is absurd to me because I've never seen an artist or a singer or anybody that I'm risking my life or well-being to see. You know, they were giving people the shots on site at a concert and a festival, mind you. So it is my hypothesis, and I said this when I did the Kingdom Within web series, which was a 7-hour video that I did where I was trying to alert everybody to the shots, to the masks, to all of the things, again, compromising my own personal well-being and financial well-being to try to bring this information to the masses. That was the testing grounds where they were bringing large groups of people together, particularly people who had either taken those shots or who had taken those tests and had that nanotechnology in their bloodstream and in their system. And they were bringing them together in these festivals with these large television plasma screens that were laced with this 5G technology, as was the Houston Center, the stadium where Travis Scott did that concert, where all of those people were murked. They weren't it wasn't a situation of being trampled. Those people were taken out. They were testing the technology then. So again, when it comes to my cautiousness and superstition, nope, it's not superstition. That's not the right word. When it comes to my caution, extreme caution, when it comes to being in large groups of people, when it comes to being in large crowds, and then coupling that with the fact that they are laying out 800,000 cell towers in America that are pumping out a frequency that is very dangerous and detrimental to the average human's body, let alone a person who has that technology in their bloodstream. And on a certain level, we all have some of it in our bloodstream because they're spraying it in our skies. And so this is where the spiritual aspect of this comes into play, how you think, how you feel, how you eat, how you live, and how you breathe, because that's the way to fortify yourself, because the technology magnifies and feeds off of low vibrational energy. It breeds in acidic environments, which is the same thing that the devil does. So they were testing it back in 2022 at the festivals and the concerts. And then a year and a half later, they came out and told you, oh my God, people are losing their memory when they go to Beyonce and Katy Perry concerts. And y'all didn't pay no attention to that shit. You went out and bought silver hats and bedazzled clothes and went. Thank you for the 2 people who sent love via Cash App. Thank you for the 2 people, the person who signed up for my membership channel, and for the 1 person who made a contribution via Super Chat. If anybody is interested in joining my Climbing the Ladder of Yourself, I put the information in the description. That's going to be for men and women. That is going to be for the next 4 months. I'm going to be doing a group workshop in a group setting where we can all come together, and I will give you guys the resources and the information that I built my Climbing the Ladder of Yourself workshop around. And then we'll also be coming together and talking about where you're stuck, where you're stagnated, what you need help with, trying to get to the next level of yourself, spiritual warfare, whatever the things that the people who join me are focusing on, want to focus on, or struggling with. We're going to talk about that in a conducive space without me having to deal with all of this. right? If you want to sign up for a consultation between now and tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can do so via Cash App for $75, which is a 50% discount. You can also sign up for 5 consultations with me for an hour for $300, which is $60 per consultation. My normal consultation fee is $150. I don't do consultations, public consultations anymore, because I am at my wit's end. And I know nobody needs to take this personal as far as people who are working with me now or worked with me before, but I'm at my wit's end of people that are not taking this shit serious. I hope you can see it on my face. I can't even look at the chat right now. Like, I can't even, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like very disheartening to be so serious and so consistent and so insistent in the work that I have done for 15 years, and to have to still, like, the reality of the lack of support, the lack of seriousness, the lack of, where is God? You know what I mean? Like, I need to tap in with there's a time coming very soon where you're going to have to come see me in public to see me. That's just where I'm at, where I'm going with it, because yeah, Black History Month is upon us. I've written a history textbook. I'm not exactly sure what else the culture wants me to do. I've been researching the white lines in the sky and the technology that they've weaponized against humanity for 15 years, but it's really been longer than that. I wrote a book about it. What else do you want me to do? I wrote a workbook specifically for our daughters and our women, all the shit that people complain about in terms of Black women. I actually put together a resource to try to pull our girls and our women out of this bandwidth of consciousness. And I can't even get my people support to lift me up. I can't even, like, so the information is in the description. Thank you to those of you guys that support me and that appreciate what I actually do. And everybody else who tuned in, who got value out of this conversation, I hope that you can take it. And I was going to read from, I told you guys I was going to take some passages, but I'm just not in the space for it anymore. So yeah, you guys have a wonderful evening, a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Peace.